A decade ago, Tunisia was engulfed in a political crisis that set off a storm not only within its borders, but across the Arab world. Back in 2011, Tunisia's then president had dissolved the government and imposed a state of emergency amid mass protests. Now, the North African country finds itself in similar waters with the recent dismissal of the prime minister and the disbanding of parliament. Is history repeating itself? Let's take a look at how Tunisia got where it is today.
أيها الشعب التونسي القرار الأول يتمثل في تجميد كل اختصاصات المجلس النيابي ومع رئيس المجلس النيابي اتخذت جملة من القرارات.
And to break down where Tunisia could be headed, joining me now from Tunis is Saida Ounissi. She is a member of parliament and the international spokesperson for the Ennahda party. And from Washington, D.C., Karim Mezran. He is the director of the North Africa Initiative at the Atlantic Council. A warm welcome to you both. Saida, hailed as the Arab Spring's only success, is Tunisia on its way to become another failure? And what's the latest in the country?
Well, we very much hope that it's not the case and that we are not heading to chaos and to uncertainty. But there is actually facts that are important to remind to people who are watching us and trying to understand the situation in Tunisia. Since Sunday, the President of the Republic suspended the constitution and he is basically closing the parliament through the army, which is stationed there at the moment. He is asked to nominate a head of government after sacking the last prime minister and the whole government and their teams. But we are in a moment of doubt. We are in a moment where the country needs guarantees. The country needs definitely to avoid going to similar experiences we've seen in the region of a confiscation and concentration of power within the hands of a sole man. And this is a fact. Today in Tunisia, since the suspension of the constitution, the President of the Republic, Kais Saied, is at the same time the President of the Republic, the head of the legislative power, and also the judiciary power. And this is quite worrying.
So, Karim, have these efforts to seize power by Saied amounted to a coup, or they were within an authority that was vested on him as president?
If I may say one thing before, I agree with Mr. Ounissi that it is very important in the international community that the whole world take care and put as much attention as possible to what's happening in Tunisia in order for the Tunisian elite not to steer the process away from the democratic versus an authoritarian one. But at the same time, we should understand that it may not be a crisis within the process of growth. Every country even the European countries after the Second World War, when they entered into the path to democracy, they had bumps. The road to democracy is a bumpy road. This could be a bump if we are all careful, if we are all attentive, and make sure that it is redressed. And there is plenty of time and plenty of force and plenty of society in Tunisia to do that.
But Karim, let me ask you this. You say that the international community should put pressure on Tunisia. But why do you think the international community reacted so slowly? I mean, the European Union waited 2 full days before releasing an official statement about the events in Tunisia, with which it has very strong economic and trade ties.
Better late than sorry. I think that if they waited, because the narrative that is dominant, let's face it, the narrative that is dominant in the world, I should say right now, is that it is a coup d'etat of the secularists against the Islamists. Which I really think it's reductive, and I think it's out of place. So it's good that the Europeans did not react on the basis of these narratives, but they took their time in order to understand what's going on, understand what are the rights of the parliamentarian, what are the rights of the people, what is the people demanding. Because as you were asking me, it is not possible to define this only a constitutional coup. It's many things. It's a constitutional coup. It's a political, in my opinion, it's a political institutional clash. That's why I'm calling it, it's more a bumpy road, a bump in the road to democracy. It's a clash between a president that wants to accumulate power, a parlement that wants to defend its power, a judiciary that is in large part absent.
So do you say there's a power struggle? There's a long-running power struggle between the president, the prime minister, and speaker of parliament?
Yes, it is because the way the constitution is made creates three powers that have not been defined yet. The fact that there is no constitutional court that can really day-to-day apportion the various powers to the single figures, each one is trying to pull its power. Ounissi played this role as head of the parliament and head of the main political party, and in this role he is being attacked, not as Islamist per se. At least that's how I think. So partially.
So Saida, what really triggered the current crisis? I mean, how has COVID-19 pandemic added to this crisis, unrest? And did you and Ennahda fear that something like that would happen, given all the unrest and protests that have been going on for some time now?
To put things in context and to help people understand as well, and Tunisians who are listening to us, is to recognize that we are in a very deep social and economic crisis, which has been deepening months after months, and the pandemic hit Tunisia in a very harsh way, and in a way where people last week only were lacking of oxygen, lacking of the minimum basic needs in terms of medical services because of the situation of public health, because of the situation of the public finances, because of the social situation again in Tunisia. All that have also, and it helped understand why the streets and the people seems to be in favor of sacking the whole political class who is taken as responsible for the situation we are in today. But this is also the risks of populism, and the President Kais Saied is very much a populist because he's surfing on the waves where basically to consider that everybody is responsible at like the same level, and more authority and less democracy could be a solution. But what we've seen in similar experiences around us in this MENA region is never ever less democracy, no rule of law, more authoritarianism, despotism as well could be a solution for economic issue, a social issue, and to actually give a service again and to deliver to people.
Yeah, but we know that successive governments, as you've just said, have failed to improve the basic standards of Tunisians, especially the youth. So aren't you in a way responsible for that economic and social outlook?
And what we say, and this is very important, if you want to get rid of a political party, you have anticipated elections for that. What we reproach to the President of the Republic is not that he is invoking the Article 80 of the Constitution, but that he is actually freezing the parliament, which is unconstitutional,
Yes.
Not nominated a head of government. So there is a vacuum of power, which could be very destabilizing for a region, which is, threatened by terrorist menace, which is threatened by a lot of, again, security challenges.
Yes.
So this is, again, what we say. If you want to restore political legitimacy, there is a tool for that. It is called anticipated elections. Meanwhile, what we are asking as a political party, as Ennahda, is that there is a real political dialogue at the moment, that the President of the Republic, go out from the isolation and concentration of powers he is in. Open up doors for political parties, for political forces, for national organizations like trade unions, for example.
Okay, Saida.
Opinion.
So Karim, Ennahda is calling for dialogue. We all know that. But do you believe that the president is willing to listen? And do you believe that, going for elections or early elections will solve the country's problems?
Ms. Ounissi has forgotten one important point in addition, which is the one that worries me a lot. It is the lifting of the parliamentarians' immunity. That is a way to blackmail a lot of people. That's a way to utilize and successfully the judiciary in a wrong way. To answer your question, yes, I think that the president will, if the international pressure gets higher, if the Ennahda and its people and the other party were not Islamists, were part of the coalition, and the rest of the population, the civic society, and hopefully even the trade union, do pay attention, do put pressure on the president. He will come to terms. He has to. As I said, this is a political issue. It will not be resolved militarily, or it will not be resolved.
So Saied has just appointed a new interior minister, right? A top-ranking former police official. So Saidi, what do you expect if clashes break out again? How will security forces respond? What's your take on that? What's the mood among Tunisians? And what do political parties have something new to offer to them in order to calm the country?
So first of all, I think there is a need. The national dialogue will be an occasion for a mea culpa as well from political parties and political forces, and a call, for a renew of relationship or trust between citizens and their political class. This is the very aim as well of it. To come up with a constitutional reform could be also one of the aim of this platform of a national dialogue. To come up with a new electoral law as well, to enable Tunisia to have a clear majority, even if this means that Ennahda could rejoin the range of the rank of the opposition. But what is worrisome, again, what I say is, if you suspend rule of law, how can you expect to use your rights, for example, freedom of speech, to give your opinion without fearing that there will be, a use of justice against people who say different things than what the President of the Republic says? And here again come the fears. So first of all, to the return of democracy, as we say. People, I know that I'm hearing people who are saying, why are you so worried? Nobody has been arrested. Nobody is, parties are not shut down. You should, just, get relaxed about the situation. I would be if we had, democratic institutions still here.
Yes.
But they are suspended since Sunday.
All right, Saida, Karim, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight
Thank you
Talk.
very much.